If you're contemplating taking the leap from the gym to becoming an independent personal trainer, I want you to have all the facts for what it's like working for yourself. Not only how to get started, but the deeper truths in reality of being a business owner. And in my experience, talking with other individuals who have gone on their own, and even my own personal experience, I've really seen that there's these common five truths that people express they didn't realize about working for yourself, that they wish they had known about beforehand. And so, how you feel about these five truths will really determine whether you're going to be successful in entrepreneurship and if this is a right fit for you. So, welcome to the Solo Trainer Podcast. This podcast is for personal trainer solopreneurs, those that are thinking about it or have already made the leap. Here you're going to get real stories, expert advice, and coaching strategies to help you create a thriving business. I am your host. I am Jen Gerasimus. I have been an independent personal trainer. I'm about to celebrate 9 years from the first time I trained somebody on my own business. And in my last episode, I shared with you these 7 signs that it might be time to take the leap from working at the gym to working for yourself. And so I want to recap those really quickly, just for in case for someone who didn't hear that episode. I think it's good just to kind of cover those. And then the next thing is then also knowing about these 5 truths I'm going to be sharing with you today. So those 7 signs that it might be ready to take the leap. So listen to these again if you hadn't already heard them to see if they might be a good fit for you. Kind of, yes, they resonate with me. I think, to help you determine whether you're taking the leap. And that is sign number 1, that you want more control over your schedule. Sign number 2, you're tired of performance pressure and quotas. Sign number 3, you want to earn more and be paid what you're worth. Sign number 4, you want full autonomy over programming and coaching. Sign number 5, you want more growth and long-term opportunity. Sign number 6, you want a business that reflects your values and visions. And sign number 7, the real big one is for most people, is you want your energy and a joy back. So if a lot of those resonate with you and you listen to the last episode and you heard those, you might be, yeah, I'm feeling more like it's time to take that leap. But you might still be wondering, is this really the right fit for me to do that? And so to help you get better clarity on that answer, that's where these 5 truths come into play. These 5 truths of being a business owner that a lot of people don't think about when they're starting on their own, or maybe they don't realize it. And so let's dive into that. We're going to dive into these 5 truths. Truth number 1 is you need to be extra creative to get clients. Unlike a gym where you have potential clients right at your fingertips, from members who have been there for a while, from members that are signing up, like you have people right there that you can, that are potential clients, that are leads for you. But when you go on your own, you are your own lead generator. It takes extra work to find these clients, these people that are looking for your services. Because just because you build it and you start putting a few things out, it does not mean people automatically going to be drawn in and start working with you. It takes a lot of work. And so you've got to get creative to find out, how do you get in front of your ideal client? How do you speak to them? What kind of opportunities are out there for you to showcase your services, showcase what you can provide, showcase your values so that people can trust you and want to sign up for your services. Now, referrals are, like, of course, the number one way to build your business. So asking whoever you can that you know, from friends, family, clients, former clients, and asking them for referrals is like the number one way to go. But it only can go so far, and then you've really got to start also looking at other ways, whether you're going out to find other medical professionals or health professionals that you can network with, also small businesses or other businesses in your community that you can make them aware of your services and see if you can do sort of a trade of some sort. Where can you find these people that you're looking? If you're traveling and want to go to like certain, apartments, are there apartments nearby that have a gym where you can post something? Especially if it's like maybe an older population, you want to find maybe a community that they mainly live in, that sort of thing. So you've got to get more creative in order to find clients. It's going to take more work and effort to get out there and find those people, because they're not going to be like right at your fingertips. All right, so that's truth number one, which is you've got to be creative to find, you got to be extra creative to find clients. Truth number two is you're responsible for all the admin work. I think a lot of people don't realize that when you go work for yourself, there's a lot of extra stuff that you have to take care of that's outside of just taking care of clients, creating programs and training your clients, that the gym took care of for you, things you didn't have to be concerned or worry about. And now that you're on your own, you're in charge of all those things. And one is invoicing your clients, making sure you're staying on top of sending out invoices, charging them, keeping track of their sessions. So having a method that makes that simple for you and also easy for your clients. The other one is client paperwork. You're in charge. You've got to make sure that you, of course, get the right legal forms and other intake forms. And, if the gym you worked at before provided you some way that you crafted and created and stored your client programs, now you've got to figure out what's going to work for you in doing that. So there's all kind of that there's all that sort of paperwork with your clients, especially, with your initial that you have with clients, that you're going to need to obtain and get and keep track of. Then there's also keeping track of all your business expenses. So anytime you purchase something like equipment that you use for your business, any subscriptions that you have, your mileage you use on your car, for traveling, all those things add up, and they're important for you to keep track of, because it helps you when you come tax time. You want those business expenses to offset your income that you've come in, so you don't have to pay as many taxes. So keeping track of all of that, you don't have to have anything fancy to do that. There are some programs out there like QuickBooks and such that can help you keep track of your business finances. But you can simply just use spreadsheets, and those totally work also. But the encouragement too is that you kind of pick set times of the month to like write up your, to list out your business expenses and to store those and document those, versus them all just piled up. And now it comes tax season and you have to sit down for a couple of hours and get this all organized. It'll save you so much time and effort if you have a system in place to help you, on a regular basis, input that information. So again, when it's tax season, you don't have to so much work ahead of you, which also is the other thing. You're responsible for paying your business taxes, for paying taxes. When you work for a gym, those taxes are usually already pulled out and you don't have to worry them. You just submit your documentation from your place of employment about how much you made, and when you're doing your taxes and you find out, did you paid too much or too little, all that. But when you're working for yourself, you it's a different ball game when it comes to your taxes. And so I've talked about in other videos about how you don't get to take home 100% of what you pay in your pocket to just do whatever you want with it. You have to think about a good 30 to 40% of whatever revenue you bring in needs to be saved to go to taxes, your local taxes, your state income tax, and if you have state income tax, and your federal tax. And so you're responsible for all that. And then there's actually, if you're making up to a certain amount, you need to be paying taxes quarterly. So my encouragement is also really to get a great tax accountant if you don't already have one to help you estimate what those estimated quarterly estimate payments are, because you can actually be dinged if you're making a lot of money and you're not paying quarterly taxes throughout the year. So the big thing with this is all this admin work that you have to do. It's a lot of extra, and so that's why I really want you to be aware of it. And I think that's a lot of the piece that trainers that don't realize is needed in order to go on your own. This is a very big portion of that. So it's not something you can't handle. You just got to get organized and be on top of it. And I know trainers that have been trained on their own for years, and they're like, I'm so not organized in a lot of this, and it's just can add to a lot of frustration and time consumption when it comes time to take care of these things versus having that system in place. All right. So that's truth number 2. You're responsible for all the admin work with having a business. Okay. Truth number 3 is that growth can take a long time. Building a business is a lot like building a house. Um, if you have ever built a house before, someone who's built a house, you might be aware that, okay, you think it's going to cost this much and you think it's going to take this long to be completed. But the truth of the matter is, it usually takes a lot longer than you expect, and it costs more money than you expect. And so this time portion that it takes to build a business, if you have a revenue in mind, like I need to be making so much in order to be able to pay my bills, to take care of my daily needs, it can take a while. I mean, working in a gym, you can also have seen yourself that it can take a little bit to build and grow your business. It's just part of it. But it can be take a little bit longer time when you have your own business, because again, as I sort of mentioned in truth number 1, about you having to get more creative to find potential leads versus being in a gym where, you've got people at your fingertips. If you ask any small business owner, most of them will tell you it's usually around year 3 when you start making the income that you want to bring in. And so I'm not just talking personal training. I'm talking about other small businesses, from those that I've talked with, that it's usually like until you're kind of, sort of losing money, although, maybe you're just not making what you want, especially in a business that has a lot of overhead, like just say like a restaurant or a pastry shop or something like that. And it's really not till year 3 when you're like, oh, okay, I think we'll be able to survive this thing. So, for myself, it was around year 3 when I finally first made that first financial goal that I set out for myself, working for myself. And then we had COVID in there. So for me, because of COVID, and I had, clients that pulled back because we weren't doing in person, all that. It's really was year 5 when I was like, okay, I finally know that I am set making the income that I want to be making, and that I also have my client base that are like my people, that are sticking with me. Unless something major happens in their lives, more than likely they're going to train with me for a very long time. And so maybe like so what I'm saying, around year 3, you might be starting to make the money where you really want to, but it can be another year or so after that. I feel like you really feel like you're more solidified in knowing, yes, I can confidently make that amount of money. And you have the clients coming into you that you're like, they're your really long-term clients. I think up until that point, you can still have ones that you're not certain about how long-term they are. So anyways, if it's year 3 and you're still super struggling, then it doesn't have anything to do with normal kind of business growth. I think there's other factors in there that you need to think about. And that could be like, what's your methods to generating leads, and how you're closing sales, and how you're retaining clients. So that you need to take an evaluation of like where in that process could be and doing better at, in order to really have the business that I love. But as I mentioned about when you build a house, a lot of times it ends up costing more money than people usually expect it to, or what they set aside, or what they thought was the budget. How many shows, home improvement shows, I watch plenty of them, where they're con saying, oh, and this showed up and this now cost and that sort of thing. And this kind of leads to number 4. So number 3 was that growth can take a long time. And number 4 is you must have a financial plan. So obviously, if it's going to take about 3 years to finally be at that income level, making the stream of money that you would like to, you got to be prepared for that time in between. If you need to be, some people it may not be that case, but for some individuals, like you need to in order to survive, you've saved up and are prepared for the one probably drop in income when you're going from the gym to work for yourself, and then that slow buildup. And because it takes money to make money. So also, not only do you need to be prepared of like what you need to help kind of survive off until you can build your business up, but also what the amount of money that you need to start your business. How much exactly that is for you, that can vary. You've got you got to think about costs that are involved, such as getting your LLC, any local licensing that you need to have or permits, legal forms that you need for your clients to sign. If you're going to get a website, if you're going to have a professional email service, if there's some other platforms that you're going to use for your business for programming, all those costs come into play. And then, of course, equipment, which most independent people need their own equipment because either they are traveling, and even if they're going to maybe some place, that's like an apartment complex that has a gym, or maybe you can find a studio camera, and a lot of times there's still some additional stuff that you want. So how much you need to spend on that obviously is based on how you plan on, seeing your clients or where you're seeing them and that sort of stuff. But I know for myself, it cost a few $1,000s to get started, from everything that I needed, from local licensing, legal forms, website set up. I got branding photos, which I encourage kind of people to do, to put on my website, because that just allows them to really kind of see you, and instead of using some kind of like stock photos off of Canva. I would really encourage you to get showed photos of you, and if you can get some photos of you training someone, that's even better. And then so there was a lot of and equipment. Like, I was traveling to all my clients, so I was buying lots of equipment in order to do that. So there's a lot of startup costs that you need to consider in your business. And so I just want you to be prepared for the financial, situation that arises when you're having your own business. And part of your financial plan is also making sure that you're pricing your services in order to be actually making money, that you're not shortchanging yourself for the service, the value, the what you are providing for your clients. I think sometimes people can end up charging a lot less than the gym does, thinking, well, they're not the gym, I can charge less, when you actually should be charging the least with the gym, as if not more, especially if you're traveling to people. So that's part of your financial plan, is making sure that you are pricing yourself to feel like you are getting what you're worth, and you're being able to make the money that you would like to make without having to train 40 sessions in a week. um, so you want to be careful, whatever price you're charging, that your service reflects that. So that is truth number 4 about you must have a financial plan. Truth number 5, working solo can be lonely. Now, this was one of the top things for me that I missed about not working at a gym. This is like really probably the number one piece that I missed or have missed at not working at a gym. For some people, this may not be that big of a deal. But when you leave to go work on your own, you leave a community, you leave support of colleagues around you. And that can be kind of lonely. It can actually be, it's very beneficial to have other trainers around you, for you to just be able to ask questions and gain knowledge off of each other, to better improve yourself as a trainer. and as well as just that community support, being in a gym, it can just kind of give you a different energy versus when you're off working by yourself. You've got to be sort of more of there's no one else to help feed you energy, especially if your clients don't have it. You still got to really show up, whether you kind of feel like it or not. So I just want you to be aware that when you go on your own, there might be this sense of loss of community that you actually enjoy and you appreciate. And it's in order to still have that when you work for your own, you're going to have to create that more yourself, staying in touch with colleagues that you have worked with, maybe even creating a network of people that you connect with on a routine basis to discuss about business and training and clients and that sort of thing, or get involved in a Facebook group. I'm working on trying to create a community here for us solo trainers, and opportunities that I have currently is that I have community chats. And I'm hoping that more of that's going to be available coming in the new year. So I just want to make that aware, because some people that may not be a good fit, they might really not thrive as well working from themselves and just being by themselves. Some people will totally thrive because that's more ready for them. But I know some people that stay in a gym because that really works well. That's one of the pieces they just enjoy so much, is being present in the gym among their colleagues and the other gym goers and that kind of stuff. And it does kind of a fun atmosphere. And again, like I said, I really sort of miss that. Sometimes I think about joining a gym just to go back to work out in. But if I had the time, I would do that, but I don't. So it's a lot easier for me just to do it here at home. So, uh, so that's a piece, again, that may or may not be a big deal to someone, but it's one that just something to think about if that's really a fit for you. So that's truth number 5 about working solo can be lonely. So these 5 truths that I've just gone through about: 1, you need to be creative to find clients. 2, you're responsible for all the admin work. 3, growth can take a long time. Number 4, you must have a financial plan. And number 5, working solo can be lonely. If you're listening to those and you're comfortable with them and you're like, yeah, see, that's part of my business, it doesn't seem that big of a deal, I can totally handle it. So, it's going to take some work, but I got it. Then I think that's telling you that, yeah, going on my own seems like that makes more sense. This seems like that might work for me. And hopefully that's making you more confident in your decision. But if you're listening to some of these and you're like, whoa, I hadn't thought about these factors and having your own business and what it takes and what's part of it, and it makes you a little nervous or more scared, or you realize this is not a fit for me, then that's good. That's good. It helps you make better that clarity on your decision about whether to go on your own or not, or really be able to weigh the risks versus the rewards. Because if anybody that goes on their own, it doesn't matter. I want all trainers, whether you work at a gym or you're working for yourself, to be successful, because, I just want you to be successful in what you do, and since you're doing something you love and you're passionate about. But if you're going on your own, it has these extra challenges, and I just definitely want you to be successful, because the reasons and all of those things that I listed, those 7 signs, are really strong reasons to leave the gym and why you wouldn't want to go back to them. And so I'd hate for you to get into working for yourself and you get mixed, realizing these truths and realizing, okay, I'm going to have to go back to the gym because I'm struggling because of these other things. I just don't want that to happen to you. So if you're listening to this as I am ready to take the leap, here's what I suggest you do. If you haven't already, go to the Solo Trainer website, grab the guidebook with checklist, the business guidebook with checklist. It's a free tool. It's a free resource that we have on the website, and it gives you all the actions that you need to do in order to launch your business, run your business, and manage your business, grow your business, all of those things. It's everything I wish I had when I got started, like literally from legal, financial, marketing, all these things. There's over like 30 something things. It's a lot because there's a lot starting your business, but there's a nice checklist to help you kind of go through it. And so grab that, get that for free. Find the link in the description, the show notes, and grab that resource for free. And then also what I'm going to be doing is the next podcast, I'm going to be going through like the 5 foundational first steps you need to take for starting a business. I'm going to discuss all those. So be sure to tune in for that. When that video is ready, it's going to come up right up here. If you're watching via YouTube, it's going to come up here right over my corner. There might be a temporary one until the new one comes up, but you want to be sure to check that out. All right, guys, wish you the best. And here's to the great that awaits.